So since August, I've been living with one of my friends, and he's picked up a startup recently. And for the startup, he's in the lab until like 11, 12 at night. And keep in mind, his day starts at like 5:30, 6:30, goes to the gym, and then gets back that late. And then for me, um, I don't get up early to go to the gym. I go to class, and then I kind of just do work after class, go to the gym, shower and go to sleep. And I think I have a lot more time to maybe call a friend, call a family member, or stuff like that. And he doesn't. And so, um, oftentimes I would be at home chilling, and he would get back, and he'd want to talk to me. And when we would have a conversation, he would interrupt me a lot. And at the start, I was like, I would kind of just let it happen and just let him talk when he interrupted. And over time, I started getting more and more resentful for it. And I started calling him out every time he did it. I'd be like, yo, you just interrupted me again. And then he would say, my fault, but you paused when you were talking. And um, over time, as we kept talking over and over again, kind of this kept repeating, and the resentment built up more and more and more over time. And so, you know, we actually sat down about like a week or two ago, and we just talked about, that experience specifically. And when we sat down, we were there with another one of our roommates, and we discussed what's going on. And I'm like, damn, I really don't like when you interrupt me. And then he's like, I'm sorry, but I've never spoke to anyone that speaks as slowly as you. And to me, I was like, damn, like really, bro, like that to me was like, wow, like I'm just trying to respond to the good questions you're asking me in a proper response. And I want to slowly take the time to fabricate that. But to him, it's like when he got home, he was so excited to talk to his friends that he would interrupt, not necessarily out of disrespect, but more of just being so excited to kind of cram all that social energy into the small time period between when he got back from the lab and when it was time for him to go to sleep for the next day, right? And so neither of us saw it that way. Like he saw me pausing as, oh, he's done talking, now it's my turn to speak. And I saw that as, wow, this person's interrupting me. But when we sat down, we kind of both realized, that each other's perspective was very valid. And I think in a broader picture, I think a lot of people's intention is sometimes overlooked, right? Um, I think it's very easy in those situations to just never stop and have that conversation and just let that resentment build up over time until, it hits summertime, we go back home, and then we just never speak again. I think that was a very possible situation, but through through talking it out and through building that bridge instead of letting it burn, uh, I think now it's a lot easier to have a conversation with him because we both now understand our intentions in the conversation. And I think it's very important to see people's intentions rather how their actions make you feel. Um, I think it's important to kind of ask someone why they do XYZ. And you should tell them that when they do that, you perceive it in a certain way. And oftentimes, your perception is not wrong. I wouldn't call it overthinking or just like being dramatic or sensitive. I think everyone's entitled to what they believe, but I think the difference between that and not necessarily not building that bridge back together is not addressing it, not holding the other person accountable, and not really seeing it from the other person's perspective, right? And I think throughout high school, I actually lost a lot of friends through doing that, through not necessarily confronting people for how their actions made me feel disrespected. And then over time, we kind of just grew apart, and that friendship never really had the opportunity to even go back to alignment because I didn't let it. I was like, dang, this person disrespected me. And I just slowly over time, just like completely detached. I stopped wanting to hang out with them. So yeah, um, it's very easy to kind of let that bridge snap. But oftentimes, whether it's like a romantic partner, a friend, maybe even a family member, um, oftentimes it's so easy to just villainize someone by how their actions make you feel without even telling them and kind of gauging if that's something that they care about, how that impacts you, or if not. And I think if I was in maybe ninth grade, eighth grade, and I heard this, I think it would have helped me a lot more with finding myself and building stronger friendships. When I was in high school, I kind of jumped from like friend group to friend group. I could never really like stick to one, and I realized that was probably why. Like for example, friends would show up late to like a bunch of events, and I'd be like, okay, you know what, that's bullshit. I'm just gonna hang out with other people, and I would keep letting like these minuscule things uh, just force me out of the friend group when realistically all I had to do was just stop and say like, yo, I wish you guys would come earlier and just like show me that you respect me and my time. And I feel like it's it's a lot it's a lot to take on that responsibility of holding your friends accountable, right? I think that's very overlooked, and a lot of people just see friends as like a casual thing. But I think realistically, you should treat your friends like you would treat your partner or like you would treat your kids, right? I think a friend is just as important as any of those, and other people don't see it that way, and so you kind of just have to see where the intent stands, and if you can kind of gauge where the intentions are based on that conversation you have when you bring up that hard conversation, you can kind of gauge when you want to resolve that conflict and build a bridge back together, or whether you just let it snap and use your hammer and nails to go build a new one. That was actually my third take of this video, and I think I like that the most. Um, but I really appreciate you guys for the support you gave me for my last video, and I decided that I'm gonna make a Discord channel, and you guys can put topics you guys want me to talk about inside that, and I want to upload every day. No guarantees though, but I really appreciate the support you guys gave me and the advice you've given me, and I'd love for that to continue. Um, I'm gonna cut this video here, but this was a really fun topic, and I hope to talk to you guys tomorrow.